I'm just going to launch into this because I only have 10 minutes. I run the Immigrant Stories project. It's a digital storytelling and archiving project here in Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota's Immigration History Research Center. And so I think we have 3 really great resources that will be applicable for you, whether you're teaching at elementary, high school, post-secondary level, or if you're teaching adult learners. So we are should just give you a little bit of background about who we are. We're a research center. We're a research center and archive, so we have a little bit of a different mission. But for more than 50 years, we've worked with immigrants and refugee communities to help individuals and communities preserve and share their stories. So we have an education mission as well as a research mission, and this really shapes our project. But our partner archives are actually the largest archive solely devoted to immigration in all of North America. So we have some tremendous resources, and we want to keep collecting recent immigrant stories. So we started this project in 2013, and we decided that we were going to make this a digital storytelling project. We've done a lot of interview projects in the past, but we chose digital storytelling this time because we think digital storytelling provides a great opportunity for people to tell their own stories in their own words. So not responding to a researcher's questions, not being forced to talk about a certain topic. We thought it'd be really interesting to experiment with technology and to give people a blank canvas. The other side of that is because we use the technology, because of the skills involved, it becomes a really great skill building project in the classroom. So I don't have the time to show you a digital story, but just so we're all on the same page, we think of a digital story as a 3 to 5 minute original video about a personal narrative. And so when we teach it, I think over the last 4 years, we've really found the sweet spot between building skills, working on both personal writing as well as learning some basic video and audio editing skills, and the flip side of that, which can be completely overwhelming the student and the teacher, because there's a lot that can go wrong even with increased technology. So what we decided was, okay, we experimented in all these ways. We found a simplified approach to digital storytelling, but the first resource I have for you is what I'm most proud about, and that is our digital storytelling making website. It's immigrantstories.umn.edu. And so we've created this website with support from the National Endowment for the Humanities, and what it allows is a user, so a student, a teacher, a community member, to make their story from start to finish completely in the website. It guides you through the process of making a story, and it includes all of the technology. So we found as we did this project, having access to technology was an issue. But even when you had access to technology, well, saving a project in progress becomes a nightmare. And it gets away from the whole point of the project, which is telling your own story and learning from the stories of others. So how does this website work? Well, we break down a digital story into a series of steps. The website is a little bare bones. It marches you through the process, and you can build on that in the classroom. But we found that these are the key components that students need, and again, students can do these at all levels. So we start by writing a brief story. And I said it's a 3 to 5 minute video, so therefore we recommend a story that's 300 to 500 words. We find that's the sweet spot, and that's pretty standard in digital storytelling for giving the student the opportunity to tell one cohesive, rich story. I find that if it's a little less than 300, it just becomes kind of a timeline. If it's more than 500, they start to meander. And so for students at all levels, all literacy levels, it can be a really great opportunity to really hone a short piece of writing and to get a lot of feedback along the way. So I always encourage students, share drafts with your teacher, share drafts with each other. You know, the website guides you along paths. You can write a story about whatever you want. However, our website suggests 4 themes, because we found sometimes if you tell people that you can make a story about anything, that can be overwhelming. I found it less overwhelming for my adult learners, especially my elders, because they often had stories that they were very motivated to share, especially with younger members of their family, a legacy, if you will, that they wanted to pass on. But for younger people especially, it can be more challenging. And so over the course of doing this project, we found, okay, we don't want to tell people what to write about, but we found that stories usually fell into one of 4 themes: a story about a journey, a story about family, a story about an important object, or a story about identity and place in society. The last one, especially identity and place in society, works really well with youth. Youth broadly conceived from, post-secondary on down. But also, I should mention, the project is called Immigrant Stories, but we define immigration very broadly here because we understand immigration has multi-generational effects. So we welcome stories from people who are the children or the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren of immigrants, people who have a migration story but don't necessarily think of themselves like immigrants. So we have a lot of stories from international adoptees, as well as international students. So it's a broad way to be inclusive. But with those 4 themes, people can usually find a story that they want to share. We include some writing prompts that students can pick and choose among what helps just to get them started. And then as they write their story in the website, they save it. Then we do the technical side. We recommend that we have a very simple approach to making a video. We recommend reading that story verbatim to create an audio-only voiceover. You can make a video voiceover. It's just technically there's more that can go wrong. We want to eliminate barriers to entry in this project. We want it to be simple. So audio-only voiceover, then you gather images that you want to see in your video, and then you create that 3 to 5 minute video within our website by just importing those images into the video editing program that we use and arranging them with the audio. It may sound complicated if you've never done this before. If you have done this before and you use a program like, say, iMovie, it works pretty easily, pretty similarly. And so I have brief tutorial videos to the website as well, which will help you put those videos together. So here's how to edit a video in 5 minutes. It's not every fancy thing you could do, but here are the basics you need to add those images, add your sound, a few simple effects that will give you a high-quality video that students feel good about. So I can tell you more about that in the Q&A, but the second resource I have for all of you is our collection. So when people make a video, either with me in a workshop or on our website, they have the option, but never the requirement, to share their story with our project. If they share the story with the project, that means it becomes available online. It also means it's professionally preserved in our archives, which is important because it's not the same as putting it on a website where the website, is out of date in a few years. We're promising long-term professional preservation. But the great thing is, since they're online, they're available to you in the classroom, and they're available online with their transcriptions. And so we have stories from all sorts of communities, all different types of immigration experiences. And so if you're looking for a primary source in the classroom, they can be a really great resource, especially because, 1, they're in someone's own words. 2, they often contain a lot of personal images and documents, et cetera. 3, it really spans a time frame and parts of the world. But 4, they're self-contained. And I find, for me teaching, it's a lot easier to show one of these videos, which is designed to be 3 to 5 minutes, than trying to find the right excerpts of an interview. That can be a lot more tricky. So that collection is there. And if you see on our website, there are some links on top. Our more updated website has a section called Stories from the Classroom. And I've pre-selected some of our most popular stories and organized them by theme, because teachers will ask me, do you have any stories about the refugee resettlement process? Or, I really wish you had stories about language. And I do. So I'll have those online as well. And then the final resource to share with you is our free curriculum. So please go download it from the website. Like I said, the website is designed to be self-contained, that you could theoretically log on and do the project yourself. However, students need structure, and if you're in a classroom, you need a way to implement it. And a lot of teachers say, I'd love to do this, but I don't really have the time to create all the lesson plans or worksheets my students might need. Well, we've done that for you. So if you go on our website, we have 4 versions of our Making an Immigrant Story curriculum. That's the red one on the left. So there's one for college level, there's one for high schools, which I think you could adapt for elementary schools. There's one for English language learners, which is pretty similar to the high school curriculum, but I just suggest pacing it a little bit differently. A lot of times English language learners want to spend a little extra time on writing and revising writing, as well as practicing reading their stories aloud before they record them, as some pronunciation practice. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just a great opportunity to practice your own writing. And then I also have a workshop guide online as well. So there's that if you want to use it. You can be free to use our website in the classroom. You don't have to share your story with us when you're done. You do have to be at least 15. That's a requirement to share your story. But younger students can still use our story and use our website and make a story. They can download their story and just do whatever they want with it without being forced into donating. We're not hiding anything here. but the project can work at younger levels as well. The final resource is on the right, this Teaching Immigration with the Immigrant Stories Project, the lesson plans. This is a curriculum we designed with the Advocates for Human Rights here in Minneapolis. It includes a bunch of free lessons about immigration in the U.S. that uses stories already in our collection to teach about the experiences of refugees and asylum seekers, for example, the immigration bureaucracy, the reasons people migrate, the experiences of immigrant youth and second-generation immigrants. So if you are in a position where you say, I'd love to bring some voices into the classroom, but it doesn't work for whatever reason for us to actually make stories, but we'd love to study stories, we'd love to learn more from people in their own words, then I would use that Teaching Immigration curriculum, and you could just pick and choose the lessons that you want. And I think I will wrap it up there. I think I'm already over time, but I'd love to take your questions later on.
Thank you so much, Liz. I think you just opened up everyone's eyes. You just got so excited at the website, curriculums, the resources. Everyone is bookmarking stuff like crazy. Please come back into the webinar. Don't look at her website after. But Liz will be joining us in about 5 to 10 minutes for a discussion because we're going to have Julie Mann join us now, and they both have storytelling projects. So write your questions in the chat box, and Elizabeth will be back with us in a few minutes.